Hey, I think we're live. Hello, fellow Wonder Women. My name is Nikki Chun. It's great to meet you all online. Um, and I am sitting here in my office at Caltech in, you can't see it, but just trust me, sunny Pasadena, California. Just very excited to be here and excited that so many of you have responded to the interview that we plan to do, our inaugural Wonder Women Lean interview. Get it? With our very own Nancy Beane, who I know that we all absolutely adore and admire. But I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to get to know her a little bit better, as many of us are looking to take on leadership positions in our own professional lives. So what was really interesting in that when I posted this, I love seeing the reactions. And then I got a really terrific response from Jenny Buyens. I hope I pronounced that right. And we just started chatting because Jenny knows Nancy much better than I. I literally just really met Nancy through by virtue of this group. But I thought, while I love to do this interview, I thought it'd be even better to have somebody involved in it that knows Nancy even more so than I do. And then we started thinking like, well, what kinds of things do we want to ask her? So Jenny and I started talking today, and the way that she described Nancy was so amazing that I thought, you know what, I need to get this on video. And maybe this could be a great precursor to the interview, so that you could get to know me and Jenny a little bit before we get to spend all of our time with Nancy. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jenny, who hopefully if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you know Nancy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nikki. And again, Nikki and I just met. We've known each other for what, maybe an hour now, something like that.
Yeah.
By the wonders of electronics. But yeah, my name's Jenny Buyens. I'm an independent educational consultant here in Minneapolis. And how I know Nancy, in my, I've had several career paths. And at one point, I was the founder and co-director of the College and Career Center at Grady High School in Atlanta, Georgia. I did live in Atlanta for 12 years. As that, if you know anything about large public high schools in metropolitan areas, they're very underfunded, fabulous teachers and staff, as well as students, and wonderful support from our community, but we didn't have a college and career center, and I couldn't figure that out. I thought, that just doesn't sound right. We served, our population was soup to nuts. I mean, we had everything from very homogenous background people to very different backgrounds. So we had ethnic diversity, racial diversity, gender diversity, economic diversity, everything. And so we served a great population, but we just didn't have any money. Anyway, long story, but a bunch of us got together. We founded this College and Career Center, and in the course of doing that, once upon a time, there was a wonderful school in Atlanta called Westminster, and of the college counseling department of Westminster was Miss Nancy Beane, and Westminster was able to sponsor, among other things, like several schools in Atlanta, sponsored a college fair for their students, which is wonderful. At some point, started, but Nancy Beane invited those of us from Atlanta public schools to attend their college fair, which we would never in a million years been able to do because there's no way we had the means to fund it or organize it or anything. We were just not there yet. So we took our top 10 to 15% of our senior class, prospective seniors, into Westminster for the college fair. And that became kind of jumpstart of our College and Career Center, because then we were on the map for college admissions people in Atlanta as a high school. And so Nancy played a huge role in getting us launched, even though she would never say that she did. So it went from there. Then I also know Nancy through my role as a private college counselor at a school for children with learning disabilities, also in Atlanta. And I joined SACAC. And my very second SACAC that I was at, Nancy said, would you like to be on a panel to discuss how to prepare students with learning disabilities for college? And I thought, hey, I've been doing this all of a year, and you want me to be on a panel at SACAC? She didn't blink an eye. Absolutely. So that was my first entree into helping others learn about things that I did. And it was all because of Nancy. And then it grew from there. She was always available at the end of a phone. If I had a question, we'd have lunch once in a while. And Nancy is, as I then progressed and attended SACAC and some other conferences, and would attend those breakout workshops, there was one person who was always in the front row at those workshops, and that was Nancy Beane. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, she has been in this business for years. She knows everybody. She must know everything. And yet there she was in the front row with her hand up, taking notes in the process. And I thought, wow, maybe I can be like her someday. So she's that image, that presence has stayed with me. And I've also then sought to develop that in other people. So Nancy's had a great influence on me. And that's just a little bit of background on how she's influenced me and a lot of people that she probably will never know about.
Well, hopefully she knows now. And I hope that
now she knows.
So of course we weren't recording at the time, but so just to let everybody know how we ended up recording this is that Jenny and I were talking, and I just thought I should be recording this because the way that she was describing Nancy was just so articulate and terrific. While I'm probably overusing the word awesome, Jenny, can you tell us again about just some of the ways that you would describe Nancy and some of the magic in her genius, I think, as you put it?
Say it again. You broke up just a little bit there.
How would you describe some of the magic in her genius? Some of the ways that she becomes somebody that you've admired and see as a mentor.
Sure. I think Nancy, and this, Nancy, forgive me, but this isn't you, but I think your genius is that you're so inclusive. You're so, I think I mentioned Nikki before, she has no agenda. There's no pretense. It's just inclusiveness. And, I think Nancy has a ability to give people a voice. The way you did to include me in that panel at SACAC so many years back. And I think in that way you model inclusive behavior. And, it's one thing to be nominated or whatever, but it's another thing that when it's just so seamless, it's a part of your personality that I think just inspires others to be like you, because as I was saying to Nikki, I think once you've been, you've had somebody believe in you and give you a voice like that, then I think I said you'll run through cement walls for that person. And even better, you'll probably want to mentor others. So it's not just that you have a one-on-one relationship and isn't that wonderful, it just spreads, it just expands, it grows. And so the impact that one person can have is amazing. And I think that's Nancy's genius, is that she opened doors for people.
I love that when you said that, Jenny, about finding somebody who you'll run through cement walls for. And I immediately thought of people. And I think when we were discussing this earlier, we talked about how it isn't always necessarily a woman, but just anybody in your life, especially in your professional life, that has opened those doors for you, and you would move mountains for. It's a pretty powerful relationship to have with someone, and I think it's so terrific that Nancy is one of those people. So I guess we were both kind of wondering what kinds of things we want to ask, and I hope that others will think about questions they'd want to know. So some of the things that we'd love to know about Nancy is, how did you decide to take this path into taking on this leadership position? Jenny put it in a way that I thought was really interesting in talking about the NACAC president role as a level of exposure that not all people have. There are many of us that would be perfectly happy and are perfectly happy doing exactly what we love every day. And then there are some people like Nancy that will dedicate themselves to opening up their professional lives and in many ways their personal life because of how the two will intersect. And so I definitely would love to know, how do you decide to do that, and how did she decide to do that? What were some of the other things that we were thinking to ask her?
Let's see. Well, we were talking about philosophy. Like I remember going into Nancy's office, and she has, it might still be this way, but the back of her office was shelves filled with coffee mugs from various colleges. And it always reminds me of, I always learn a lot. I spent a lot of years in sales, and I'm very observant. So I like to learn about people through their surroundings as well. So I'm always looking to what's in their office kind of thing. And I wondered if Nancy had a favorite philosophy that motivated her. Maybe it's on a coffee mug, maybe it's not, but that's what it reminded me of. Like I have several around my office. I wonder what Nancy would have in her office that really encapsulates what she's all about and why she does what she does.
And in meeting Jenny and talking with her about how she knows Nancy, it made me think about how there are people that are just able to recognize other good people pretty instantly. And I would love to know how Nancy knows that. How do you recognize that in other people? And Jenny was talking about how there was this lack of pretense, and it wasn't as though Nancy asked her a barrage of questions before inviting her to be on the panel. Nancy knew exactly what she needed to lean on Jenny for her expertise in in what Jenny describes as a pretty short amount of time. So I know I would love to know from Nancy, how do you recognize that? We didn't want to take too long with this sort of precursor to the interview. And I know Jenny has another appointment to get to. But I wanted to thank Jenny for being a part of this. And hopefully, I think, you'll be able to join us on Friday during the interview?
Yes.
Great.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, never done this before. Hope it's not the last time we do this. We're going to just kind of go with it. I hope that those of you who tune in will ask some questions and maybe chime in a little bit. I also hope this is the first of many. I'm always open to recommendations, referrals that people might make. I think that every single member of this group, if I had the time, we would do interviews with every single member, which we're now at 2,699 members. Yay! So thank you, Jenny, and thank you, everyone. And we look forward to chatting with Nancy on Friday. Bye.